Welcome or welcome back to Pro Muso. I'm Todd, and today I'm going to show you how you can use Autoscroll for your iPad. All right, straight into it, no mucking about. All right, you're obviously going to need some software for this, and I've got the perfect app. It's called Bandhelper. It's on the App Store or on Google Play. It's free for a 30-day trial. Very inexpensive yearly. I pay $20 a year, Australian, which is bugger all. So this app is primarily for bands and soloists, but you can use it just for text if you want, which is great. So I'm going to explain the process of importing the document and how to set the auto scroll up and all that kind of jazz. So I'll be using Photoshop, and I'm just going to take some screen recordings of how to do it from start to finish. Okay, here we go. So we need to go to www.bandhelper.com, okay, or just search it in Google and you'll see, and it'll come up like this. All right, so you need to create an account, add your email address, use basic and solo artist, okay, and then start a free trial, okay. Once you do that, you'll go to the Bandhelper interface. Okay, so here we are in the Bandhelper website. Okay, now I'm sure you'll be able to follow this if you're using a phone rather than a desktop. I'm going to do this little tutorial on my desktop. Okay, so I'm sure there'll be some little differences, but you get the picture anyway. Okay, so here you'll see this is the menu for all this juicy stuff if you're a musician. Okay, but for today we're just going to concentrate on using it as an auto scroller for text, for reading out, or in my case, singing songs and having the songs on an iPad for viewing while you play live. Okay, so what we want to do here is we want to go to songs. Now, I think you'll have like 3 sample songs in here when it's new. Just delete them just for the sake of a clear canvas. Okay, so we want to add a song. All right, here for this tutorial, I'm going to use Uptown Funk for the song. Right, now the important thing is when you add a song is to add in the duration of the song. Right, now when I use backing tracks, I just look at the backing track and see how long the song is, and I just put that in. Right, you see here, you can't add a document yet until you save the song. Right, so you've got to save it, save the song, and then you'll see this opens up to allow you to add the document. Now I'm going to show you how to make the document before I add it, okay, because that's quite important. So this is where I'm going to show you how to create the correct size document so the auto scroll works correctly. This is very important. So I'm going to use Photoshop to do it. If you don't have Photoshop, then follow the basic rules with your document creating software, and you'll get the picture, okay. Now, what I like to do when creating my document is download the lyrics from the internet and then put them in a text editor like Word or OpenOffice.org, and then set it up with the right size and typeface. I usually use Arial Black with a 16 to 18 point text. Seems to be a good size to view when reading from an iPad. So once I've created the correct format, I print out the document. This is where I can draw on the physical paper my own notation needed for the song. So print it out, do your notation. Once that's completed, scan it again to create a digital copy. For this example, you'll notice that I've chosen a song with a lot of lyrics, so we can bypass the problem of having multiple pages in Bandhelper. Okay, so because at this stage it doesn't support auto scroll if you've got multiple pages. So the idea is that we're going to have one long page that will auto scroll, and we have to do this in our text editor or our Photoshop or whatever. All right, so in this example, you'll see here I've got 2 different pages. Okay, so I've scanned obviously a A4 piece of paper. There's the first one and there's the second one, and I've written down all my little notations and stuff that I'm going to need to follow the arrangement. But what we want to do is put this one on the bottom of this one, okay? In order to do that, we'll open Photoshop All right, here's Photoshop. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drag them in. Okay, that actually puts it on top of it, which is what I don't want. Uptown Funk. I'll just drop it there, and it'll open in a new page. All right. So as you can see here, we have 2 documents, and we want to make them one. So what we want to do is we want to go to Window, Arrange, Tile All Vertically, which will put both of them in there, right? We want to select this one, select the first one because we're going to put the second one at the bottom of the first one. So what we have to do is we have to edit the canvas in order to make it, you know, basically twice as long. So what we have to do is go to Image, Canvas Size, all right? Now what you'll see here is that now we're on this one, so you'll see the width and the height of your document. Okay, now what we really want to look at is the height. So the height, there's 913 pixels. So we want to add to the height. Now you see this little box down here? All right, what we want to do is click that top middle one and then put the height. I'm going to put in 1000 instead of 913. Maybe 1100 just to give me plenty of room at the bottom. All right, so what that will do, bang, it creates this space down here. So what we want to do here is make sure that we're on the first one, go over to the second one, make sure we're on the move tool, click, drag, and just drop in there. And you'll see that it drops that thing in there. So all we've got to do is put it up there, and this is how much room we've got at the bottom. Right, we can close this one now, give us a full screen. All right, and then we want to crop it. So we want to crop it to about there, double click, and then when we export it, that'll go white. So now we've got one long document, and that's what we want for Bandhelper, okay? Because it doesn't want to be watching, you know, how many pages you got? Do I start auto scrolling from the second page or what? It just wants to auto scroll one page, okay? So we've got our document. PDF seems to be the best format I've noticed. You can use JPEG as well. So Uptown Funk. We want Photoshop PDF. Save to my desktop. All right. Don't need high quality print. We want small file size. So choose smallest file size and save. So now we'll have Uptown Funk. Open it up in the viewer. And there it is. All right. With all my notation, it's just one page, which is great. All right. So that's what we want. Could have probably sharpened that a little bit, but this is just for demonstration purposes, right? So now we want to go back to here. So we've added Uptown Funk as a song. We've saved it. Now we can add it as a document. All right. So we'll go to Document, New Document, go to Choose File here. All right. And we want to go to Uptown Funk. Save. And that's now saving that file we just created into the Bandhelper interface. Click Save again. Now it's not saved on the iPad yet because we've got to sync it. But all this stuff, you know, when you create a whole bunch of songs, as soon as you sync it with your iPad, this whole interface syncs with everything on your iPad. And I will show you on the iPad once I've finished here. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to go to Songs. Okay. Ordinarily, there'll be a whole bunch of songs down here if you're a musician or if you've got a lot of files or whatever. So there'll be a bunch of files. If you want to go back into it, you just click Edit and it'll bring up this screen again. All right, it's got all this sort of stuff here that you can do. It creates little snapshots. knows what you did, when you did it for each and everything. So what we need to do now is we need to go to the iPad. All right. So now we're at the iPad. Let's go to Bandhelper. Let's open it up. This is the test account here that I'm just showing you, right? I'll quickly go into the other one just to show you what the finished product should be. All right. So if I go into here, basically on the left here, I have an index that I can go through. All right. Here's all my songs. All right. And so let's go down to Uptown Funk. All right. Here's Uptown Funk. The good thing is you can color code all these. You see how they're all different colors. All that means for me is that the different colors are subject to different styles. Like the light blue is acoustic, the green is sort of mid-tempo, and the red ones are all sort of up-tempo stuff. So later on, when you want to go to all one color, let's say I have the crowd changes and I want to do all dancey stuff, then I've got a bunch of dance stuff there. If I want to do all, if I want to do everything else, I've got a ceremony one here that just songs that are appropriate for ceremonies when I do weddings. Generally, I just use everything and choose as I go which song I want to do. But if we go down here to Uptown Funk, click on that. Song comes up on the right-hand side there like that. Now I've got it set so you can't see my fingers obviously, but if I put 3 fingers on there, like so, it opens up to full screen, right? And that way, this will start auto-scrolling once enough time has elapsed that I've set. It'll start auto-scrolling like this. So I don't even have to touch the screen. It's great. If I 3-finger tap it again, bang, we're back to the index, and that way I can look for my next song to do. Okay? But all the songs here on the left, they're separate songs, right? So this is what it'll eventually look like if you're a musician and you've got, your whole rep in there. So I wanted to show you that just so you get a bit of an idea of what you can expect and how you can use it later on. Okay, so now I'm going to go back, all the way back to the account, and I'm going to go to this account here where I've got nothing in there. Okay, I've done that I've loaded Uptown Funk on the back end, which is on the computer, and now I can sync it to my iPad. Now you can do all of that stuff on the iPad as well. The stuff that we did on the website, you can do that on the iPad as well. But the problem is, if you ever lose your iPad, you don't have a backup of it, right? Or if you want to use a different iPad or you upgrade, all you got to do is sync your new iPad, and it's got all the information on there. So it's definitely the best way to do it. But you can do it all from here, right? I prefer to do it on the back end. But for now, let's set it up. So, okay, settings. So these are general settings that you'll need to go into. Now, this first tab here, general settings, is important because this is where you've got calculate auto scroll, okay? Just make sure that you have that set to automatic. I think might have changed since I've done it. But this is where you access it anyway. I'm not sure if it's automatic or manual. I'm pretty sure it's automatic, but if it doesn't work, just come back. This is where you access it or change it to manual. Recalculate speed if overridden. That's just if you start scrolling while the auto scroll is already going, it'll recalculate. That's generally about it. What else have we got here? It's actually updated since I last saw it, so it's a little bit different, but pretty much the same. There's all kinds of stuff that Arlo Leach is the guy who created it. Very smart guy, and he's always updating it. Okay, so that's in general settings. Okay. So settings, generally, all I really use is under general settings. Okay, this is where you can access your auto scroll features right here. If something's not working with auto scroll, then just come back to general settings, auto scroll, and that's where you will be able to finesse it a little bit. Okay, right. So let's go to repertoire. This is where the songs are kept. We're going to need to create a set list. I actually use a smart list for different reasons, but we could just create a set list, right? Add set list. So if we want to add a new set list, we have to go into here and just name it, okay? Name it whatever you want. Continue. Now we can see here we've got the option to edit songs, right? So we want to add songs. Right now we've already got Uptown Funk, right? Because we did it on the back end. And generally when you open Bandhelper, it will sync. You can set it to do it manually, but I always have it when it opens. So we've got Uptown Funk that we did in the back end. So all we've got to do is click that, press save, right? And now if we go back up here, Pro Muso, and then we go into view, right? All right, so this next bit can be tricky, right? And it's taken me a very long time to get the right kind of layout to view on my iPad. I've gone through hours and hours of different kind of settings to view the documents. There are so many different options you can use, but for my iPad, I ended up using one that I customized a lot. Let's put it that way. So to save you a lot of a headache, what I'm going to do is attach a download to this. Now this is called Split View Portrait. Okay, and this allows you to have an index on the left and to do particular finger taps to open and close the documents. And you know, given that I've used this for years, this is a really great way to view and use Bandhelper in this particular layout. You can always have a bit of a go and see what kind of layout you want. I mean, you can change the size of the list and the point text of the lyrics and the set list index and the size of the document, opening it in full screen and then closing it and having the index pop up again. And it's a lot of trial and error, trust me. So have a go at it and try and customize a layout for yourself. But if you end up getting frustrated like I did, then what you've got to do is import this particular layout, which works only for the size of an iPad. Right? Let's go here to layouts. You see all these different layouts. You probably see a bunch. I can't remember what the default is, but you can try a whole bunch of these layouts here. I'm fairly certain you'll have some in there. I just can't remember because I've been using it for so long, but I'm sure there are some default layouts that you can use. Now try them. Each one of these different layouts will obviously have a different layout, and you can try different ones and see if they work. But if you're on an iPad and you want a decent one, you have to import a layout. So I have a little, it's a dot layout document. It's a very small document. It's called Split View Portrait. It'll be attached to this video. You can download that to your iPad. So I'll show you two ways in which to do it, okay? So I'm going here to my files, right down the bottom here, files. And I've just imported this in my iPad. So it'll be in your files folder. And if I just click on it, see that top one there, Split View Portrait? If I click on it, it'll automatically install it into Bandhelper if you've obviously got Bandhelper installed. So bang, you see that? Layout imported. Okay. This little icon up here with the page and the plus will allow you to navigate to it also and import it as well. So either way, it will import. So we go back to set list, right? Now you can see the view there is still on that default one, which in my case is full screen lyrics. But we want to use the one we just imported. Okay, so in order to activate that layout, we know we've got it. We've imported it into here to layouts. So then we go to our set list, right? And then we click on more layout options. And under this, it should have updated to have this split view portrait. We just click on that and bang, and that's loaded up. See, that's loaded up into our set list now. So now you'll notice it's a little different. Okay, so on the left here we have the Uptown Funk, right? If you had multiple songs there, they would cascade down there and you could choose any one of them. And so these settings have been customized, okay? So in the way in which I use it, a 3-finger tap will open the document. So obviously you can't see my fingers, but I'm going to do a 3-finger tap on the Uptown Funk document. And you see how that opens it up in a full screen. Another 3-finger tap takes it back to the index. So this is a very quick way to go back to your set list and open up documents. Now, when I do that 3-finger tap, I've also set it to start the auto scroll on a 3-finger tap. Okay, so basically, once I tap it, it starts the countdown for the auto scroll. So just keep in mind, if you open that up and then you're talking to your audience for a minute, then, it will start auto scrolling. So just make sure you open it up when you're about to start the song. Okay, now I'm going to show you what it looks like in a full set list environment. Okay, so I'm going to go to my actual one. If we go here, and I use a smart list. So if I go to everything, and you can see I'm on the same split view portrait. All right, so now this is my actual gigging one. Right, you can see now this index on the left, whereas you just had that one Uptown Funk song. You see all my songs here. So I can just scroll along and just choose any song that I like. Let's choose that one. And that way it'll open up. It's like a preview. When I click that, it will send, it's set to send the MIDI signal. So if you've got a device that receives MIDI and you need to change your presets in order to sync it up with whatever song you're going to do. For example, let's say I'll do this song, Blurred Lines. That'll send the MIDI signal to my unit, which sends a signal to change my preset, which I've obviously pre-done, so it can change. I've got the VLX 3 or the VL3X, which is fantastic for that. As soon as I click on any of these, it'll change to my my presets, which have my backing tracks loaded into them. So it also loads the backing track. Whatever you want to do, bang, instantly, it loads up the backing track, loads up all the vocal sounds, loads up the guitar amps that I want to use for that song, right? Which is great. And then once I want to start the song, I just 3-finger tap and it opens it up in full screen so I can read it. And it's auto set to auto scroll. And then once the song's finished, once it's auto scrolled, well, let's go back to my Uptown Funk just so you can get an idea, because it's a fairly long one. If I go to Uptown Funk, bang, 3-finger click, opens up. You can override it by touching it, which is good. But you can see once I've set the right amount of time for the song and how long it goes, you don't even have to touch it. Once it gets to the end of the song, 3-finger click or tap and you're straight back to the index, and then you can choose your next song. This has taken a lot of trial and error to get right. So if you want to avoid it, download the link in the description, import it into your iPad and use it. In order to understand what all these things do, you see this little spanner up in the right hand side up here? That's one way to access it. Another way is a more comprehensive way to access it would be to, where is it? Is it in layouts? If we go split view portrait, edit details. See these actions down here? See how I've got start, stop, auto scroll? And it's got, you can choose all these different things. So if you want the auto scroll to start as soon as you select the song, select song selection, 2-fingered tap. I find a 3-finger tap's the best because in one option it opens it in full screen and it starts the auto scroll. But these are where you can do a whole bunch of different actions. Okay. So if you want to customize it a little bit to what I've got, you can do that. You can also add certain buttons to the bottom. You see, let's go back into everything. And you see these buttons down here? You see these icons down the bottom? You see the MIDI one there in the middle at the bottom? And this grayed out one over the right? You've got all these options to add these certain things for functionality. For example, let's say my unit screws up and I don't have access to any backing tracks. Well, what I can do is any song with a backing track, I can actually load it into the iPad itself, which is great because if that happens, I can send through the headphone jack to my mixer the actual track, right? And I've set it up here at the bottom. See the bottom right there? We've got an audio. It's like a speaker. If I click that, that actually plays the track, right? So this is also a good backup if your MIDI device fails, or even if you can't be bothered setting it all up. The only bad thing is that you're obviously not going to get any presets, so your guitar and your vocal sound is going to be all the same. But, in a pinch, you can still do the gig by sending the audio through the actual iPad. Everything else will work exactly the same. It just won't send the MIDI because it's obviously, if it's not working, it's not working. So it's always a good backup. I have used it sometimes if I don't want to set up my whole thing and I just want to use a regular guitar track. If I use the same guitar sound and same vocal sound for everything, you don't even need to use MIDI. You just plug in your microphone and your guitar and you're all set. You could do it all from the iPad. So I think I've pretty much covered everything. If you have any questions, reach out and I'll do my best to help you out. I've spent probably tens of hours, if not hundreds of hours, getting this how I want it. So it is a big learning curve, but there's so much functionality in this, it's ridiculous. That's probably where it gets complicated because there's so many options. That's how to auto scroll. Anyway, I'll throw it back over to myself and I wish you well. So there we have it, Bandhelper. I hope you got something out of that. I hope you enjoyed it. I know it's helped me a lot in what I do for a living, but I'm sure it can help a whole bunch of people for a whole bunch of different reasons, not just music. So please like and subscribe if you haven't already. I've got plenty of these sort of videos on my channel, including tutorials. Say hi in the comments. I check them often, so if there's anything that you think you might find useful and I think it's appropriate for the channel, then let me know. I might do a video on it. All right, guys, thank you, and until the next one, ciao for now.